How's it going, everybody? This is Chance from Caveman Precision. I got this in a couple weeks ago, maybe about a week ago. The stand prefix long neck resistance in the heavy metal. But before I get into that, I think I put out like 15-20 videos and I never really introduced myself, but like when I started doing this. So my name is Chance Safri. Born and raised on the island of Maui. Been bow hunting since 2016. My first bow was a Bear Attitude single cam, and then I went to a Bear Escape. Shot that for like a couple years, and then I got the Matthews VXR 31.5, and then I have a PSC Evo 34. Yeah, I started out with just the regular triggers, and I started to get real punchy. I remember once I shot a goat a little back, and we found it a while after I shot it, and I had to put a follow-up shot on it. Wasn't my best hunting moment, and from that day forward, I was like, you know what? I put the release down. I ordered a silver. I actually had a silverback. And then from that day on, I was just religious with the silverback. I mean, every single day I would just shoot with the silverback, I started out like 3 feet. I would hold the safety and then let go, and I'd flinch before the shot even went off. Did that for about 3 or 4 weeks, and then I finally felt comfortable where I could like stretch out the yards. I think I went from like 3 feet, 7 yards, 12 yards, and then 20 yards, and then out past that. But shot the silverback for about 2 years, but I kept my eye on this release. I was like always wanting it. I was going back and forth between the short neck and the long neck, reading reviews, watching forums, and I finally sold a couple things because this bad boy is not cheap. It's a pretty penny, but I finally sold worked on a couple guys' bows, and then sold a couple things, and I finally had enough money to really put a down payment on it, pretty much buy it. But yeah, enough talking about myself. But I did mess with it. It does come in the package as a 4-finger. So I tried it a bunch. Been shooting it, like I said, for maybe a week and a half. So I tried it out in the 4-finger. Let me get this. I tried it out in the 4-finger, which I like it. It's cool. I went to the 3-finger. I went back to the 4-finger. Went to the 3-finger. Went back to the 4-finger. And I just noticed sometimes on a silverback, when just pulling back constantly with 2 fingers, I'd get like, not pain, but it almost felt like numb, like kind of running up the forearm area. So I was like, I kind of want to try out 2-finger or something besides a 2-finger. So like I said, when it came with it, I think it was like more kind of curved down. As soon as it came out of the package, I just grabbed it and just started shooting it. So when you order these, they come at like 40 pounds set. If you get the resistance, you gotta unscrew. I think it's counterclockwise. Yeah, loosens it or makes it hotter. Actually, I had my shot trainer, and I'm pulling as hard as I can, and it finally went off. And I thought the release was broken. I was like, oh no, I got a dud. I tested it in a last chance arrow scale. Noticed I was pulling 40 pounds, so backed it down to where as soon as I let go of safety, it would fire, and then I just slowly worked my way up to where I could let down and then start to slowly push and pull until the shot breaks. But I tried it in the I tried in the 4-finger. Actually, the thumb barrel peg was a shorter one. I put a longer one on just so it's kind of has a more natural, the way it just sits, it kind of just put my thumb over. I don't gotta like reach to grab it. That's one thing I didn't really like about the silverback. is having to like make my thumb like reach to get, because I like to get my thumb like kind of deep on it, just in case it's wet, it's slippery, big box in front of me, I'm getting sweaty or whatever, and then as I'm pulling back to full draw, my finger just slips right off and I just blow a shot of a lifetime, or send one into the neighbor's yard, or you know, do something catastrophic. So I kind of like to get my thumb kind of deep, and I kind of angled it. Instead of it being straight, I angled it up like towards the release. I don't know if you can tell. That's the release, completely flat, so it's kind of angled. But I've messed around with it. I shot my friend's, what is it, knock to it with a big thumb barrel, and I personally don't think I'm gonna like it. I didn't like it on the knock to it. It's huge. I mean, it's massive compared to, and it's not even the same length. Like, it's just short. Oh, I didn't even measure it, so this is the first time I'm actually doing it. But look how fat that thing is. Holy smokes. I don't even think my thumb, yeah. On the reviews that I've been watching, people say get a size bigger. So I actually wear a size large gloves. I like my gloves to be kind of tight. So I usually wear maybe like a size large, maybe even a medium sometimes. So this is actually the size large. Yeah, large in the heavy metal. But yeah, this release is amazing. I'm still tinkering with the way I want this positioned. I noticed when I was at the forefinger, it felt like I could kind of like rotate my hand more. I tried shooting it as a hinge, just holding it and then rotating it, and it went off. It took a long time to go off. I didn't like the way that felt, but yeah, I had it all the way straight. I had it all the way down. Now it's like right in the middle. I think I'm close with the way that this feels. It definitely, the way that the neck is set up, it's a little wider. This part, it's a little wider than the silverback. So my fingers with the silverback are kind of like this. And with the stand, my fingers are a little bit more separated, which kind of feels better. I feel like I get a more defined like feel as soon as the fingers come up and hit the draw. It's like boom, right there. I don't know, I'm still playing around with it. Like I've only had it for, like I said, maybe 2 weeks, but I'm practicing every day for like hours. And I with this, my PSE had a little chip in the limb, but they said everything looks fine, so they just sending me the bow with some brand new limbs. I just wanted a professional opinion to check it all out, so that's on the way. So in the meantime, I've been just practicing with this, and I got this bow to shoot really good, some of my best shots. Then when I got the EVO, I went back to shooting this, and it just never felt the same. I mean, the axle to axle is, what is it? I think it's 2.5 inches shorter, 3.5. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But yeah, that's with the silverback. But as soon as I picked this up, just the way that the sear and the neck is positioned on my fingers, when I was with the silverback, I would anchor and I'd have to duck my head quite a bit to get to the string. I shortened my D-loop about an eighth. It was really long with my silverback. But first time I drew back with this, I was expecting having a duck. No, not at all. I drew back, boom. As soon as I hit my anchor point, the nose button was just like boop, and my peep was a little low, so I just tilt my head just a little bit. But I went from tilting my head like this to like this, just by changing the release, which that was my biggest concern with this, was the position of the neck, because I know they have the short neck position or the short neck, and there's not a lot of reviews on the short neck. I think the most I've seen is 2. I read a couple forums that this guy was saying whenever he anchored and he released a shot, he could feel the D-loop kind of like contacting his face, which he said he didn't like. He said he loved the release, he just didn't like that feel. But that's why my main concern was having the neck be so long that the string is further away from my face. But it is crazy how changing this release, I mean, yeah, you change one thing, you change everything. I understand that, but the way it made the bow feel after just changing the release makes me fall in love with this bow again. Like, fall back in love. This bow, when I got this bow, I had some of my best groups that I've had. You know, plus I'm also progressively getting better as I shoot even with just just upgrading bows, but even just practicing a lot more, just progressively getting better. And then when I have my PSE with that longer axle to axle, holy smokes, it holds so good. I haven't, living out in Hawaii, we don't have like real bow and arrow shops that you can go in and like, oh, let me try this Hoyt, or oh, let me try this Prime, or let me try this Bowtech Matthews or whatever. You kind of just gotta know what you want and hope it feels good and order it. And that's what happened with this. Like, I did tons and tons of reviews, watching guys shoot it. And if the EVL or the Atlas, because it's 34, if the EVL or the Atlas came out in 2020, I probably would have leaned towards those because it's a longer axle. My draw is about 29.5. I shot 30 before, and it just felt like I would push and pull, and I'd get to a point where I couldn't push and pull, and I would kind of struggle, and then the shot would break off. But that was after shooting like 40, 50, 60, 70 arrows. Like that first 35 arrows, everything's money. You know, everything's feeling good. It's breaking clean because I'm a lot more fresh. As soon as I started getting past that, I was like, oh, I'm tired. And I just was like, you know what, I have this bow in 29-inch mods, 29.5, and then 30-inch mods. Because I was tinkering. And I went back to 29.5. I actually did this on my EVL. I was shooting 30-inch draw, and then it just felt so, like I said, I'll be at this point where I want to break, and it wouldn't break, and I'm kind of like, changed the mod, drew back. As soon as I drew back, everything was just like, boom. I was like, oh, this is way better. First shot at 40, I changed my mod from a 30 to a 29.5. First shot at 40 was dead center. I was surprised. I thought I was going to have to like re-sight in. That didn't happen, but getting away from the release. This thing, I ordered it in the heavy metal. Like I said, the reviews that I saw, people liked the heavy metal, and I weighed this, and this is, oh shoot, I just had it. Oh, it's like 5.4289 ounces, pretty much 5.5. And then I weighed the silverback. That was 2.8. I think it was 2.8 something. I lent that to my buddy. So this is about 5.5 ounces, and then the silverback is about 3 ounces. Which when I used to fill the silverback, it always felt heavy. I was like, oh man, this is a solid release. As soon as I picked this up, like you could feel it in the package. Like, oh, this has some weight. As soon as I grabbed it and I picked up the silverback, I held them side by side. I was like, there's no comparison. This is what it feels like to have a release. I don't know if it's just the weight, where like my brain just thinks, oh, this is, I mean, and the price, don't get me wrong, this is $299. So if you're looking for like, I would say like what is it? People call them like training releases. You know, if you're looking for a training release, I recommend not getting this. unless if money's not an option, get this. If you're on a budget, maybe the silverback. I mean, it's still a $200 something release. But anyways, just the way it feels like it's just made better. I guess best way I can describe it. But like I said, it's also expensive. There's so much little adjustability, the way that you can take this and then move it which way you wanted. You can take, like you say, you can take the barrel, move it any way you want it. They come with 1, 2, 3, 4 different size little pegs. These things right here. Come with those, some real long ones, and then these, I think, yeah, these are the same size. So what else is this about this release? That's so sick. I love how, so the way that the jaw is, if you look at the silverback, it's kind of wider. I mean, like, Dudley is the GOAT, you know. So if he designs something, he knows exactly what he's talking about, how he wants it. You know, he's done the testing. He's an elite archer, bow hunter, the whole 9 yards. He's the best. He's the GOAT. But the way that this is designed, how skinny it is, when it sits on the D-loop, I mean, you can really, like, my D-loop is right past, or like probably right at ½ an inch, which my silverback on my PSC shoots it. I like it like that, and I tune it good, shooting bullet holes. I do tune all my arrows, so they're all shooting through paper. They're all shooting bullet holes down range, or shooting bullet holes through paper, and then down range I don't see like any weird arrow flight. So, and pretty much my D-loop sits right straight with the peep, which I noticed that, I mean, Dudley has some research saying even if the D-loop is like kind of off to the side, it'll hit the knob as it's releasing, which can cause real bad flight problems. But the way that the sear, or like the jaw, sits inside, and you can twist this completely 180, and it barely puts a twist on the string of the D-loop. And I use BCY number 23. It's flexible. It produces a nice solid ball. You don't have to fluff it up. You can just put a flame right to it. I think I have. I mean, this is just putting a flame to it, and without fluffing it up, and it produces super solid balls. But yeah, the way that this sear or jaw, whatever this thing is called, sits, it feels like I'm not putting as much torque on the D-loop. Let me turn on the light. And this right here, this is cool. This little shot trainer idea, where you can, I've seen people call it anti-dry fire. I still recommend drawing your bow back with an arrow no matter what. You know, even if you have to point it at the ground to test something out, it's better to have it, because I mean, the release may be completely fine, but your D-loop might snap right off, or something might happen. So I know people probably drew their bow back with this thing on, practicing pulling through the shot, having it click, and then letting down with no arrow. I do not recommend that. But I've been shooting this. I'll probably shoot like 15, 20 arrows. Only got 3 arrows right now set up for this bow. So I shoot those 3 probably like 10 times, maybe 30 arrows. And then right at the end, where I'm starting to get tired, I gotta come in the house, do some chores, I usually take 1 arrow and I put this safety in, draw back, anchor, get everything perfect, come down at the target, let go of the safety, and then push and pull, push and pull, push and pull, and you'll hear like a click. It'll click. First time I did it, I flinched, and my goal is to draw back and then let go of safety, push and pull until you hit the click, and then just keep aiming. Don't flinch, just hit the click, boom, and then maybe pull just a little bit more, and then put your finger back on, let down, relax, take a couple breaths, move around, start fresh, draw back, aim straight at, put the target up, aim straight, and then let go of the safety, and then push and pull, push and pull, push and pull, hit the click, push and pull one more time, finger back on, let down. Do that maybe like 3 to 5 times, just to like practice without ever firing an arrow, which is super cool when it comes to like building up confidence in your release. And it's weird because like I know it's not gonna go off, so sometimes I don't push and pull as hard as I need to, and the shot takes forever, and then it'll finally click. And then that's me knowing like, oh, I'm kind of getting out of my shot, whether I'm thinking that it's not going off, so I may try and force it, or my form is breaking down because I know it's not gonna break, I know it's not gonna fire, so I may be doing something wrong. Kind of really helps me stay in tune of how I'm practicing, especially like practicing with a purpose, just trying to get better. And it just really, that thing adds that extra, for me, that extra confidence of really working through it, hearing a click, and then just keep aiming, and then let down. But yeah, I got the adjustment. If you want to adjust it, if you want to, we'll move this. There's this set screw right here, or this screw right here. It's not a set screw, but all you do is, and they don't come with Allen wrenches, which, I mean, spend $300, maybe throw in at least 1 or 2, just one. But you just loosen this up. Oh man, hold on. Just loosen that up, and then you can move it up. That's about as level as you can get it with your hand, and then sweep it all the way back. Yeah, like I said, I'm still playing around with it. I got it somewhat close. And then to remove it, all you do is unscrew this. There's a little dowel right in the side. Once this is gone, you can push out that dowel, and then you can put the dowel through there, or stick the release, or stick the finger back in, stick the dowel through the hole, and then the screw goes back inside, and then you can play around with what position you want the fingers to be. But yeah, I'm still playing around. Like I said, I think I got it close, but I don't know. It's a fun thing, and that's I think I kind of tighten it down a little bit, maybe more than you should, but I don't want this thing moving while I'm at full draw. And it does come with a little hole if you want to throw a lanyard through it and then hook it up to your hand, so you know it stays connected to you, because if you leave this in the mountains, wee, that's a expensive hunting trip. Even if it's just like living out in Hawaii, we can hunt every single day if we wanted to, 365 days out of the year. So we have certain seasons for pigs in certain areas, certain seasons for goats in certain areas, certain seasons for birds in certain areas. But if you want to hunt axis deer, you can hunt them every single day, 365 days out of the year, on holidays, whenever. If you have them in your yard, you can shoot them in your yard. I mean, they're that much of a problem here in Hawaii. So I mean, it's not like you be shot out for the season. Like I'm always tinkering with my bows, and it's not like, oh my god, I got a month before hunting season. It's like I can go on a hunt, find out something I don't like, tinker it, mess around with it, get it all good, retune it up, get it shooting money, and then go hunt that next weekend and be perfectly fine. And I'll go hunt two months from now. So messing with this isn't like gonna throw me off when it comes to hunting seasons. I know in the mainland and stuff, there's right now people are waiting to hunt. I don't know how the seasons work over there, but like I said, over here there's no seasons. So we are truly blessed to live in Hawaii when it comes to hunting, because you can get permits to hunt at night if you really need to for eradication problems, because the deer out here is insane. But I'm gonna try set up the camera and then maybe just make one shot with it, so just to show how it feels. So I got the target set up. Like I said, I'm still getting used to it, so the target's 6 feet away. And the bow, I'll shoot a couple more. The bow's not paper tuned to this release, it's paper tuned to my silverback. But even if it was paper tuned to my silverback and I shortened the D-loop, so I'd have to re-paper tune again. My arrow's kind of sitting to the right, so I can already tell I'm probably gonna have to switch the top hats over, which is fine. But yeah, it feels really good. It feels so good. It's so crisp and so clean. The way it breaks, the way it feels. Oh, and I had to, so, now let me shoot one more. Alright, I actually took maybe like a 30-second of a turn outside of the poundage, because I was pulling pretty hard to make the shot go off. And I think I got it set pretty good, so. I love this thing. But yeah, it's an amazing release when it comes to just back tension. It's so crisp, and if you, I noticed too, I practiced this once, but if you push this forward, so to cock it, all you gotta do is just take the stump peg and then push it forward and it cocks it down. But if you push this forward, it actually opens up the release. My friend shoots with the trigger, and he was saying sometimes if you need to punch it in a certain situation, you can. And he said he likes having that idea, but if you draw back and get it all anchored, and say for whatever reason happens, you need to punch the shot off. I don't recommend doing this, but you can. All you really have to do, so let's say it's a big buck and you got him in front of you, and you put your finger off like this, but for whatever reason something happens, all you have to do is just push this forward and the shot goes off. So and the shot goes off. I don't recommend it. Like if you gotta really force it to go off, then it's probably not a shot you should take. But trust me, I've done those shots too, and I've gotten really lucky, and I've also injured some animals and went back home, you know, really second guessing the way that I've been shooting in the past by just trying to make it happen or punching the trigger. And when you try and rip the shot off with this, like say you're like pulling, it's not working, and you rip it, it's nowhere near like just hammering a trigger. With this thing, for me, as soon as I pull hard, the front bow arm just goes whoop, and now I'm sending arrows over the target or over the animals or wounding something. But this release, I say, is the next level. And they did come out with a new one, Stan Onyx. It's the same price as this, but I don't like to try things from companies that are like the number one or their first. I mean, they've been doing Stan releases for how long, but it's the first release of the Onyx. You know, maybe when they do second or third upgrades to it, maybe a year or two, because I know they had problems with this in 2015 with the thumb button. There, people were having some problems, and then they, you know, ironed out the kinks and made it what it is now. So there are upgrades and new Stan releases, but for me, I've always wanted to try one of these, and I finally was able to purchase one. They are the same price, so if you really want to get that new one, I mean, they're the same price as this, which, I mean, is good because you're talking about a release that holds its value for multiple years on end, and hold its value when their big brothers or upgrades come out. So if you really want to sell this, I could probably maybe sell it for $250 and still be pretty happy with it. And then if I, you know, want to try the other one, $50 to it. But this is by far perfect. This is by far my, I wouldn't say greatest investment, but one of the best ones I've had so far. When it comes to a release, don't get me wrong, the Silverback, I owe my success to back tension to that release, but I think it was time for an upgrade, and this is it. If you have any questions on how I work it, or just any other questions, just please message me. Can order these on Lancaster. I think I live in Hawaii, and I got mine in like 4 days, and that is very fast. When it comes to like shipping out here, that's one thing that I love about Lancaster. When you buy it, they ship it fairly quickly, and it gets here fairly quickly. Just waiting for my PSE. Once I get my PSE, I'm gonna I got a new mainstring I gotta switch out, so once I do that, I'm gonna completely set that bow up to this release, and I'm probably gonna just repaper tune this and get this bow dialed to this release, and we'll be set sail. Yeah, it's a little review on the release, little introduction to what I do. I just want to make videos and show people that average blow joes still might put out pretty good content. I watch all the pros, Chris B. There's this guy, Inside Precision, John Dudley, Levi Morgan, you know, all the professionals, and they teach you so much things, especially with like the mental side and the gear side and how they set up certain bows. But I've learned a lot from guys who just do it in their backyard, and I recommend listening to both sides. You know, don't just focus on all the pros. The pros are there for a reason, don't get me wrong, they're pros for a reason, but especially if they're, I guess, sponsor driven, you know, you kind of want to take everything with a grain of salt, especially, like I said, sponsor driven people. When it comes to guys like, you know, do it in their backyards, we tend to just try what works best, like Elk Shape. They're all about tinkering, and I'm all about tinkering too, so that's why I invested in this. And one other thing, the price point is expensive, but you can shoot it in a 2-finger, a 3-finger, a 4-finger. You can adjust the way that the thumb barrel sits, or the way it's angled, and then you can adjust this, or you can adjust the peg the way it sits, the way the thumb barrel's angled. You can have longer posts, shorter posts, big barrel, skinny barrel. I tried shooting this in a 2-finger, and as soon as I put my third finger on it, I shot it a bunch. As soon as I took my 3rd finger off to try and draw back, I was like, nope, it's either gonna be a 3 or a 4. And having that adjustability is $300. So if it's $100 for a 2-finger, $200 for a 3-finger, and then $100 for a 2-finger, $200 for a 3-finger, $400 or $300 for a 4-finger. So I mean, basically get 3 releases in one, which is super cool. The adjustability is super cool. Yeah, great release. I'll keep posted on, you know, my progression with it. Probably want to try to shoot groups once I get this bow paper tuned and dialed, and my PSE paper tuned and dialed. I really want to see this thing out to like 70, 80, 90, 100 yards and see what the group size is, if it's any better, if it's the same. But yeah, highly recommended. Go out, try one if you can. Maybe have a buddy that has one, try it. I let my buddy try this. He's like, oh man, if I ever get a new release, it's probably gonna be this. I gave him my silverback to try. But yeah, like I said, stand, prefix, prefix, stand, perfex, long neck, resistance, heavy metal. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for the support, whoever's out there. And I got some other videos coming up, so have a good one. God bless. Shoot a bow.